All right, guys, here's how we're going to make our abstract line drawings. First, let's look at what we need to start with. The first thing that you're going to need is a pencil. Also, we're going to need a black marker if you have one. If not, a black crayon will work just as well. And crayons, different color crayons. And your paper, obviously. So to start, what we're going to do is you're going to draw between 5 and 10 lines. I think 7 is probably a good number that we're going to use. So we're going to draw 7 lines. Our 7 lines can be any kind of lines you want. They could be straight lines, they could be curvy lines, they could be zigzag lines, any kind of line that you want to create. The only rule is that they have to start at one side of the paper and end at a different side of the paper. So what we're going to do is start by drawing our 7 lines. Like I said, it could be more or it could be less. I think 7 is a good number though. So my first line is going to be a kind of curvy line that starts at the top, goes all the way off to the bottom. It started up here, and it went all the way off to the bottom. My next line, I think I'm going to do like a zigzag line. So I'm going to do a zigzag starting from one side and going across to the other side. We just draw across just like that. My next line, I'm actually going to do kind of a straight line from one corner all the way to the other. That was a little curve, but it was kind of straight. So how many lines did I do so far? 1, 2, 3. 3 lines. So I'm going to do 4 more. This one, I'm going to do kind of a loopy line. So kind of some loops. Then I'll draw another zigzag line, maybe going this way. Another kind of curvy line I'll do over here. And again, I'm trying to do different kinds of lines. If you have one kind of line you really want to do, you can do as many of that kind as you want. The real most important thing is that they start from one side and go all the way to another. So I still need one more line. Now I have my 7 lines. So now what I've done is I've created an abstract picture using only lines. By using these lines, I ended up actually creating shapes. So these lines where they overlap, that's an important vocabulary word, overlap. Overlap is when 2 things cross each other. So right now my pencil is overlapping my Sharpie marker. So by overlapping those lines, I've created new shapes. The next step for our project is we're going to trace over those lines. So like I said, I have a Sharpie marker. I'm going to use that. If you don't have a marker, no big deal. You can use a black crayon and it'll work just the same. So I'm just tracing over my lines carefully. Again, making sure that I'm going from one side of the paper all the way to the other. That's what really is going to make this project look really cool. Again, if you don't trace over them perfect, it's not a big deal. You're going to just do the best you can at tracing them. That's why we have erasers. You can always go back in and erase any extra pencil marks that you have left over. So I'm doing the best I can at tracing those lines. As you can see, I'm going kind of fast, and I'm making a couple mistakes. And like we said in the beginning, mistakes are always allowed in art, because sometimes we find out a really cool way to do something new through those mistakes. So now I have it all traced. I'm just going to go back, like I said, my eraser, and just clean up some of those spots that I didn't trace over my original line that well. Just get rid of those little pieces of eraser. Now comes the really cool part. This is where your picture is going to really come alive. It's really going to start to look unique. And this is really important, so I want everybody to listen really well. What you're going to do now is you're going to take your crayons and start coloring in your new shapes. Here's the rule. You cannot use the same color right next to each other. So look at this little tiny shape I have right here. I created a really small one right here. I'm going to color that one in red, that new shape. Around it, I have a really big shape. I'm not allowed to color in this shape, this shape, this shape, or this shape with this red crayon because they are all right around it. And if we color in those colors right next to it, it'll all look red. It won't look like a unique shape. I can go over and color this shape red though, because that shape is nowhere near that first one that I colored. I can color this shape red because it's nowhere near those ones. So you go in and pick spots, or pick shapes, that are not next to each other, and you can color those ones in using that crayon. All right, so I'm just going to kind of go quick and pick a couple. Then you go to another color. And like I said, it can't be the same shape next to it. The way I always look at it is I look at the black lines that I created almost like they're like a river. And you can't cross over the river with the same color. So we're just going to color that one in like that. And again, I'm going to try to go a little faster. I want you guys to really take your time though, because I want yours to look really good. Now, can I color this shape green? Nope, you're right. Good job, you were paying attention. Cannot use green there. Can I color this shape green? Yeah, for sure, because it's not next to that green shape. So you're just going to keep going in and picking different colors and coloring them in, coloring each shape in a different color, all right? And just remembering that rule that you cannot use the same colors right next door to each other. So they have to have a little space in between them. You can't use the same colors right next to each other. And even if you only have 8 colors in your box, you'll be able to do this. You could do this whole thing with only like 3 or 4 colors and be able to space them out enough so that way they're not right next to each other. So I'm going to go ahead and finish coloring mine. And you guys could watch while I'm doing it. It's going to go in, I'm going to speed it up a little bit so it looks like it's going much faster. So there is my finished picture. If you look, I actually chose to leave a couple of my shapes white. I thought it made the composition of my picture look better to have a little bit of white in there. You're welcome to leave some white if you want, but don't leave all of them white and say you're done. All right, you need to be able to color in most of it, and the white should just be treated almost like one of the crayons you're coloring in. So that is what my picture looks like when I'm done. Yours hopefully is going to look much different and probably totally unique to yours. This is a great project to start with though, because this is fun, and since it's abstract, it allows you to kind of be more creative and not really worry too much about what the final picture looks like, and more just focus upon how we're getting to it. All right, so have fun, guys. Go ahead, let's get started.